Imagine this, a man who ruled over millions, who built wonders the world still stares at in awe, was so terrified of death that he buried over 700,000 souls alive just to chase immortality. This is not a myth. This is the story of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. And tonight you're about to discover a truth so dark, so unsettling it will make you question what kind of price humanity has paid for one man's dream of living forever. Before Qin Shi Huang, China was chaos. 7 warring states, endless bloodshed, kings stabbing each other in the back, villages burning, children growing up never knowing peace. Then came Yingzheng. At just 13 years old, he took the throne of Qin, one of the most powerful states. By the time he was in his 20s, he had crushed his rivals one by one, until the whole of China bowed to him. He wasn't just a king anymore. He declared himself Qin Shi Huangdi, the first emperor of China. It was the birth of an empire. He unified currency, built roads, standardized writing. He even started the foundation of what we now call the Great Wall of China. From the outside, he was a genius. But inside, he was obsessed with one thing. Not power, not glory, but death. Qin Shi Huang was terrified of dying. Every night, he couldn't sleep. He saw shadows. He feared spirits of the dead would come for him. He wanted one thing no human could ever have: immortality. So he turned to alchemists, sorcerers, and strange physicians who promised him elixirs of eternal life. They fed him bizarre potions made of mercury, crushed jade, and strange herbs. The irony? The very medicine meant to keep him alive was slowly poisoning him. But Qin Shi Huang didn't stop. He sent fleets of ships to search for magical islands where immortals supposedly lived. He ordered expeditions to hunt down mystical creatures, hoping one of them would hold the secret of living forever. And when that wasn't enough, he turned to something darker. Qin Shi Huang believed if he couldn't find immortality, he could build it. So he commanded the construction of the most massive tomb the world had ever seen, a city underground, a kingdom for the afterlife. The project began around 246 BCE, and it consumed everything. Mountains were cut open, rivers diverted, vast chambers carved deep into the earth. And who built it? 700,000 laborers. Men, women, prisoners, slaves. They dug until their hands bled. They carried stones until their backs broke. They worked in darkness, in silence, under the watchful eyes of soldiers who would kill them if they slowed down. The tomb was filled with traps, crossbows set to fire at intruders, rivers of mercury meant to imitate the seas and skies, ceilings painted with stars, and of course, the army of terracotta warriors, thousands of life-size clay soldiers, each with a unique face, standing guard for eternity. But here's the darkest part. When the tomb was finally sealed, many of those 700,000 workers never came out. Buried alive, entombed with their emperor, their blood became the foundation of his immortality. By now, Qin Shi Huang had become a living god in his own mind, but paranoia consumed him. He ordered books burned, thousands of scrolls of philosophy, history, and knowledge. Why? Because ideas threatened him. If people thought differently, they might rebel. He had scholars buried alive. He had generals executed. He even turned on his own family. The empire was unified, yes, but it was unified in fear. Every whisper against him was silenced in blood. And still, he grew weaker. The mercury potions were destroying his body. His search for immortality made him age faster. In his final years, Qin Shi Huang became restless. He traveled across China, desperately searching for magicians, mountains, islands, anything that could give him eternal life. He carried with him strange jade tablets, mysterious maps, and armies of servants. But no matter how far he went, death followed. On one of these journeys in 210 BCE, his body finally collapsed. The first emperor was dead, but here's the twist. His ministers, terrified of chaos, hid his death. They carried his rotting corpse in a wagon filled with fish, so no one would smell it until they reached the capital. The man who wanted to live forever died poisoned by his own quest. But the story doesn't end there, because Qin Shi Huang's obsession left behind more than ruins. Legends say the rivers of mercury inside his tomb poisoned the land. Even today, scientists detect toxic mercury levels in the soil around his burial site. And his dynasty? It collapsed within years of his death. All the blood, all the terror, all the lives buried alive, gone in an instant. Qin Shi Huang wanted eternity, but instead his name became a curse. To this day, Qin Shi Huang's tomb remains sealed. Archaeologists know where it is. They've seen the terracotta warriors, the outer chambers, the statues, the weapons. But the main burial chamber? Never touched. Why? Because Chinese authorities fear that opening it would destroy everything inside. The traps may still work. The mercury may be deadly. The secrets of the first emperor still sleep beneath the earth, waiting. And maybe that's exactly what Qin Shi Huang wanted. Here's the irony. The man who buried 700,000 people to avoid death. The man who swallowed poison to escape the grave. He died like every other human, but in chasing immortality, he achieved it in the one way he never expected. Today, thousands of years later, we still speak his name. We still stare in awe at his terracotta warriors. We still fear the shadows of his tomb. Qin Shi Huang wanted to live forever. And in the end, he did. But not as a god, as a monster.